Hello everyone, welcome back to my auditing lecture series. I hope you remember our previous classes on company auditor. We learned regarding his qualifications, his appointment, his retirement or removal, his rights and duties. In today's class, we are going to learn the further aspects of company auditor. Before going to further, let me ask this question: who will be responsible for these scams? You can take any scams, either Satyam scam, Corvey scam, or Harshad Mehta scam, any other scams of companies. You can list a number of such scams. Who is the responsible person? Who is the first responsible person for these scams? Yes, of course, it is the auditor. Auditor is responsible for the financial statements of such company. So you can consider here the auditor of certain company is responsible because he has to find out the loopholes before such big scams occurrence. The auditor of Carvey, so it is his responsibility to find out the loopholes. So any other company, so auditor is responsible for the financial statement. He is to reflects in his statement whether the financial statements reflecting true and fair. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಆಡಿಟರ್ನ ರೋಲ್ಸ್ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಅವರ ಏನು ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇರುವ ಕಾರಣ ಇಂಥ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ auditor is responsible for this. So auditor will be held liable for such scam. ಇಂಥ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ಸ್ಗಳಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಕೂಡ ಲಯಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಟುಡೇಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ such liabilities of auditor. What are the liabilities of auditors that we are going to learn in today's class? So these liabilities of the company auditor is divided into two categories, that is a civil liability and criminal liability. Under civil liability, we can find out two categories. The first one is negligence and the second one is misfeasance. Under criminal liability, we can list out the various liability under different acts. Under Companies Act, under Indian Penal Code, and under Indian Income Tax Act 1961. Under all these acts, so auditor will be held the liabilities. So let us start one by one. Under civil liability, auditor will be held liable for his negligence. So auditor should be very careful while auditing any financial statement. So he should not be like ignorant person while auditing the books of accounts. So if any person proves the auditor's negligence, he will be held liable. So here there are some examples representing auditor's negligence. The first one is London Oil Storage Company versus Sears Azlak and Company. So in this case, auditor failed to recognize the petty cash where the company incurred loss. So auditor failed to recognize the petty cash. You know that petty cash represents the smaller amount. But even then, auditor has to recognize that. Auditor should be very careful. He cannot neglect the smaller amount of such cash. So due to this negligence, the company incurred loss. So for that reason, auditor is held liable. And second example, Commissioner of Income Tax versus GM Dandekar. Under this case, negligence for failure to verify the cash balance. So while verifying the cash balance, auditor shown his negligence. So due to such negligence, so here there is some loss. So for that, auditor is held liable. And here, Arthur E. Green and Company versus Central Advance and Discounts Company Limited. And in this case, auditor fails to detect the time barred debts. So you know that a time board debts indicates the expired debt. So these debts cannot be recovered from the company. But here, auditor fails to recognize such time bound debts. So it's a major mistake of auditor. So auditor is held liable for these uh, negligence. Martin versus is it undue delay in submitting his report. So in the duty of auditor, we have seen that it is the duty of auditor to submit the report within the time period. If he delayed in the submitting report, there should be a proper reason. So without such proper reason, if the auditor delayed submitting his final report, so it's also his negligence. So under this, he will be held liable. So these are all the examples for negligence, auditor's negligence, and where auditor is held liable for his negligence. So let us move on to the next one. Under civil liability, the second category is liability for misfeasance. So here the term misfeasance means improper performance of a fiduciary duty or breach of trust or duty imposed on company auditor. So here improper performance of duty. So for example, uh, uh, a lot of trust created on the auditor because we trust the auditor because he will give us the true and fair view. He will judge the company independently. If this trust breaks, so in that situation, he will be held liable. ನೀವು ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ನಂಬಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೇವೆ. ಆ ನಂಬಿಕೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ನಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ he will be held liable. So let us see some of the things here. Personally held liable for the misstatements in the prospectus. So you know that prospectus is an invitation to the general public to subscribe for the company. ಆ ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಳಿಸುವಂತ ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್. ಈ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಇದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಜನರಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಆ ಮಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಏನಿರ್ತದೆ ತಪ್ಪಾದ ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳು ಅದರ ಭರವಸೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಲಯಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಕೂಡ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕುವಂಥದ್ದು ಆಡಿಟರ್ಸ್ ನ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಇಫ್ he failed to find out the loopholes in the prospectus, if he failed to find out the misstatements in the prospectus, he will be held liable. Of course, he will be held personally liable. That means for the damage to the general public, he has to reimburse the loss from his personal asset. ಅವರ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ರೀಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ ಆಡಿಟರ್. And the second thing, personally held liable for misuse of funds during its winding up. In any case, if the company goes on winding up, in such situation, if he misuse the properties, misuse the funds, in that case also he will be held personally liable. So two things you should remember. The first thing regarding the misstatements in the prospectus. Second thing, misutilization of funds during winding up. So let us see again some of the examples. So here, Republic Bolivia Exploration Syndicate. Auditor has been liable if the balance sheet does not exhibit the true financial position of the company. So in this case, it's stated that auditor is liable for the true and fair view of financial statements. Auditors na appointment in a major intention ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು, major object or major focus ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೇರ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಅನ್ನು ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಕೇಸ್ it doesn't reflect the true and fair view, in that situation auditor will be held liable. In Westminster Road Construction and Engineering Company Limited, liability for not making use of responsible evidences. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಆಡಿಟರ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸಸ್, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸಸ್ಗಳುಂಟು ಆದ್ರೂ ಸಹ ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆದ್ರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರಾಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ liable. Indian Union Bank of Allahabad failed to recognize the large borrowings from the bank merger and his relatives. So, in this case, the bank has borrowed the fund from relatives only. So, in that case, auditor failed to recognize such things. So, again, auditor will be held liable for such uh, breach of trust. The official liquidator, Palai Central Bank Limited versus Joseph and others. Under no circumstances, an auditor can become part of any fraud or frauds committed by others. He should not involve with the persons who are committing such frauds. So, in any case, if he is the part of such group, then of course, generally he will be held liable. So these are the things that you should remember. For the civil liability, there is liability for misfeasance. So here the term misfeasance means breach of trust or duty. So here auditor failed to continue the trust possessed by him. And the second category is criminal liability. So here under various acts, auditor will be held liable. The first one under the Companies Act. So, Companies Act specifies the situations under which auditor will be held criminal liability. The first one, misstatements in prospectus. We have already seen prospectus is an invitation. In any case, if there is misstatements or errors, he should find out. If not, he will be held liable. Fraudulently inducing the persons to invest money. Of course, a wrongful authentication of the documents. Documents ಗಳಿಗೆ authentication signatures ಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ, but the document is wrong. So in such situation, he'll be held liable. Failure to assist the investigator or inspector. So if in any case investigators or inspectors are appointed for any frauds or scams in the company, auditor has to support them. In any case, if he fails, so he will be held liable. Failure to return the property or the document. He has to return all the property or the document received from the company after his retirement or removal. So if he fails to return such assets or documents to the company, again the company can file a complaint. Public examination of auditors by the High Court. So High Court has uh, the authority to examine the auditor. Falsification of books. If he himself is involved in the falsification, ಯಾವುದೇ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ತಿರುಚಿದರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ತಿರುಚುವ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ he will be held liable. Penalty for deliberate acts of omission or commission. We know that omission means we forget or uh, uh, a failure to record some transaction. Commission, recording the transactions doubly, more than one time. So in any case, if the auditor involved intentionally in these two activities, intentionally omit to record or intentionally commit to record, so in both the cases he will be held liable. Prosecution by the liquidator. So in case of winding up of the company, in any case, if the auditor has a role in winding up the company in a wrong way, in such situation, of course, he will be held liable. So under these situations, auditor will be held liable under Companies Act. Under Indian Penal Code. So it also states that Auditor will be held criminal liability if knowingly issues a false certificate. If auditor issues certificates having the knowledge that it's wrong, so in such situation, he will be held liable under Income Tax Act, disqualification for representing the client. So in any situation, if he doesn't possess the qualifications to become auditor, even then he representing uh, as a chartered accountant to the client. But the chartered accountant certificates he is not qualified for CA. So even then he represent as a CA to the client. So he will be liable imprisonment of 2 years. In such situation, auditor can be imprisoned for 2 years. Under the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, again, it's regarding disqualification. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಚಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಸಚ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಅವರ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅವರು ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಚಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸಹಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಸಿ ಎ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ಸಚ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಅವರು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸೇ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಬಟ್ ಔಷಧಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಕೇಸ್ they doesn't possess the certificate of chartered accountants, even then they themselves claim as a chartered accountants. In such situation, they will be held liable, criminally liable. So hope you understood the liability of company auditor. So here they have studied the various liabilities of the company auditor. Basically, it's divided into two categories, civil liability and criminal liability. Civil liability is for two aspects, liability for negligence and liability for misfeasance. Criminal liability is specified under various acts. Companies Act, Indian Penal Code, Income Tax Act, and Chartered Accountants Act. So, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. And thank you for watching. Take care. And in the next class, we are going to learn the next aspects of company auditors. So that is regarding reports of company auditor, how to prepare an audit report. Thank you for watching. Take care. Happy learning.